Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today we'll be talking about Gone Girl, specifically your take on it,
Okay.
because you had a really unique perspective on the film, and especially Amy Dunne.
Right.
Most people find her absolutely terrifying,
Hmm.
but you were, fascinated by her, intrigued by her, and as I recall, even rooting for her a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, um I was definitely rooting for Amy, and it was interesting to kind of unpack why I had that reaction.
Yeah.
And I think, starting with the beginning of the film, she presented as this kind of picture perfect wife, very dedicated to her husband.
Right.
And there's just something very alluring about that classic image, I think.
Yeah, but then obviously as the film goes on, we see a completely different Amy,
Right.
emerge, a much darker side of her. You even used the word mastermind to describe her at one point.
Yeah.
What was it that tipped you off that there was something a little more sinister below the surface?
Well, it's funny because there are all these subtle moments in Rosamund Pike's performance where you can tell that something else is going on. Like, for example, after she plays the victim for the media,
Oh, right.
you know, she has this almost imperceptible smirk.
Yeah.
Like she knows that she's pulled one over on everybody,
Right.
and that's when I really started to get intrigued.
Yeah, those little subtle details that you conveys are fantastic. It's like she's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Exactly.
Like, the whole scheme with her ex-boyfriend, Desi.
Mm.
The way she was able to manipulate him to do what she wanted.
Uh-huh.
Did you see all that coming?
It's interesting because I did, and I think that's part of why I was rooting for her. It was like watching a master plan unfold.
Right.
And I knew that she was going to come out on top.
Wow.
And so when she does, pull off this incredible scheme and gets away with it, there's a sense of satisfaction.
And you even said that the fact that Nick, doesn't necessarily get justice in the end,
Yeah.
right, adds to the film's power.
Yeah, I think it leaves the audience feeling very unsettled.
Yeah.
Because there's no clear-cut good guy or bad guy.
It makes you really question your initial perceptions of the characters.
Mhm.
And, I mean, Nick is certainly no saint either.
No, absolutely not.
He was unfaithful. He lied. He wasn't really living up to Amy's expectations in a lot of ways.
Right.
Do you think that his shortcomings played a role in Amy's actions, or was she always headed down this path?
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Hmm.
I don't think he's necessarily a villain in the traditional sense,
Right.
but his actions definitely contributed to the toxic dynamic of their marriage.
And you mentioned that you thought Ben Affleck did a great job portraying,
Oh, he's fantastic.
Nick's anxiety and the desperation to try to maintain this image of a good husband.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that deep down, Nick knew the kind of woman he was married to?
That is a really good question. I mean, it makes you wonder if anyone can truly know another person,
Right.
especially in a relationship as messed up as theirs.
That's a great point. It really does make you question, the nature of marriage and how well we can ever truly know someone.
And that's where the film's exploration of marriage gets really interesting. It portrays it as something potentially dangerous,
Yeah.
where love can turn into hate and manipulation becomes a weapon.
Right.
So it really makes you question, is it making a statement about marriage itself, or is it more about these specific individuals?
Right. Well, and I think that ties into your initial request for this deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you're really fascinated by the darker side of relationships,
Mm-hmm.
those that involve power dynamics and deception.
Right.
And it seems like Gone Girl really plays into those interests.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason I connect so strongly with Amy, is because on some level, I admire her strength
Oh, interesting.
and her willingness to fight back, even if her methods are a little unconventional.
Yeah. It's almost like she's this sort of, twisted anti-heroine who's challenging our ideas of what a victim should be.
Mm.
And, that kind of reminds me of something else you mentioned in your notes
Yeah.
about the film's really brilliant use of subtle acting.
Yeah.
You were especially impressed with how both Rosamund Pike and Ben Affleck were able to convey so much with just their facial expressions and body language.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't all, big dramatic outbursts.
Right.
It was these tiny, almost invisible shifts in their demeanor.
Yeah. Do you recall any specific moments of that kind of nonverbal acting that really stood out to you?
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of them. One that comes to mind is the way that Amy holds Nick's gaze
Oh, yeah.
during certain scenes. Her eyes are kind of betraying this hidden agenda.
Right.
Even when her words are all sweet and reassuring, it's like she's daring us to see through her facade.
Yeah. Yeah. It's those little details that really get under your skin and make you question everything, and even Nick's performance is full of these subtle cues too.
Right.
You pointed out how Ben Affleck really captures that growing unease that Nick feels
Yeah.
as the investigation unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
Even as he's trying to, project this image of innocence, did you find yourself kind of analyzing their every move?
No.
Trying to predict what their next play was going to be?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the film turns you into an amateur detective.
Right.
Right alongside the characters. Every glance, every hesitation just feels so loaded with meaning.
Totally. And that sense of unease even extends beyond the main characters.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you were really impressed with the supporting cast.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think their performances contributed to the overall impact of the film?
Well, I think the supporting cast is phenomenal. And each character from, the relentless detective to Amy's seemingly clueless parents, all of them play a crucial role in shaping our perception of the events. They're not just background figures.
Right.
They're active participants in this whole twisted game.
Yeah, and their reactions to Amy's disappearance and their interactions with Nick, all add to that atmosphere of suspicion and doubt.
Absolutely.
That hangs over the whole movie. Do you think that director David Fincher, intentionally cast actors who could convey so much with relatively little dialogue?
Oh, I think he absolutely did. I mean, Fincher is known for his attention to detail.
Right.
And the casting in this film is no exception. It's like he created this world where everyone is hiding something, and we're left to piece together the truth from these carefully constructed facades.
Yeah.
It's really a masterclass in filmmaking, how to use all the elements beyond just the script to really enhance that psychological impact.
Yeah, it really does make you think about how much of our own lives, is a performance.
Right.
How much are we all just kind of, playing roles and putting on a face for the world?
And in your case, it seems like the film, really got you thinking about your own experiences with relationships and the masks that people wear. You mentioned feeling a connection to Amy's frustration, her sense of feeling trapped in a life that wasn't working for her anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting because, the film kind of blurs those lines between victim and perpetrator.
Right.
I mean, obviously, Amy's actions are extreme.
Oh, yeah.
But she's also, a product of her environment and the expectations that were placed on her. So do you think that's part of why you found yourself rooting for her?
Yeah.
Even as she was, going to these really dark places?
I think so. I think there's a part of me that really admires her resourcefulness and her ability to take control, in a situation where she felt powerless.
Right.
And there's a certain satisfaction in watching someone, especially a woman, turn the tables on the people who underestimated her.
Absolutely. And I think, it's not about necessarily condoning her actions, but it's about understanding the motivations behind them. And it's that complexity, that refusal to offer easy answers that makes Gone Girl such a compelling and thought-provoking film.
Absolutely. And it's clear that it resonated with you on a really personal level. You even mentioned in your notes that the film made you question some of your own past relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, let's just say that after watching Gone Girl, I definitely started paying a lot more attention to those subtle cues, those little hints of hidden agendas that we tend to overlook in our everyday interactions. And it made me realize that sometimes, the most dangerous deceptions are the ones that are closest to home.
It's a chilling thought, but it's true.
Yeah.
I think Gone Girl serves as this really important reminder that we can't always take things at face value, and that even in the most seemingly perfect relationships, there might be secrets lurking beneath the surface.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And, while we don't need to become paranoid and suspicious of everyone we meet, I think a little healthy skepticism can go a long way.
Absolutely. So to wrap up our deep dive into Gone Girl, it seems like you gained more than just an understanding of the plot and the characters. You've really engaged with the film's themes, its technical brilliance, and its power to make you reflect on your own life.
Absolutely. And I think that's, the beauty of a deep dive like this.
Yeah.
It's not just about summarizing a film. It's about uncovering those hidden layers. And those lingering questions that it leaves us with.
And those questions are often more valuable than any easy answer.
Absolutely. So the next time you encounter a seemingly perfect couple or, a flawlessly crafted facade, just remember Amy Dunne.
Right.
She might be lurking beneath the surface, reminding you that things aren't always what they seem.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
Till next time, stay curious.
And keep questioning.
Oh, everything.